This video is looking at question 3 of the MAAF216 main exam, and we're just looking at the question and the answer. If we look at part A, a key requirement is to advise Mr. Barrow as to the improvements that could be made to FBC's value chain. We need to provide a brief explanation of the value chain and then focus on procurement, inbound logistics, outbound logistics, and marketing and sales, and to justify the answer. So let's just look at the question. FBC produces high quality olive oil. Key point is that sales are made via the website to end users as well as to Australian and overseas retailers. Margins earned on the website are significantly higher than those made on sales to retailers. Part A, key issue is that FBC is unable to source enough quality olives from growers in Western Australia. So we'll be looking for solutions, suggestions, providing solutions to address this particular issue. And we're told that FBC does not have a logistics or distribution manager. We know that little attention has been placed to making the distribution of olive oil more efficient. The average cost of distribution of a litre of olive oil is higher than the cost of production. You can imagine if you're shipping a heavy bottle of olive oil to the other side of the world, it's going to cost a lot of money. So we've got an issue with cost. Currently, several distribution companies to supply the oil to retailers around the world are used, and the companies are normally selected based on the price quoted for each shipment. So feedback from our large customers: shipping cost is high, same price for all customers. Whether you're large or a small retailer, you get charged the same price. Little information on the progress of the orders, and they're unable to supply enough olive oil. FBC have lost market share, and there's an issue with retail prices as competitive prices have remained unchanged, whereas FBC prices have increased. So that's the background. Now, if we look at the solution, for the explanation of the value chain, we're looking for some description that consists of activities, primary support, and that we can improve efficiencies, create value, or competitive advantage. We're just looking for one of those. So there's your first mark on the grid. The explanation, we're looking at activities and either stating that it's focuses on improving efficiencies, creating value, or developing competitive advantage. Then within the area of procurement and inbound logistics, the key aspect we're looking for them to address is that there are insufficient volumes of high quality olives. One possible answer is consider sourcing olives from outside Western Australia, or develop a strategic relationship with olive growers so if they could secure supply, agree on supply up front. Employ a dedicated buyer would be a good answer. Anything else which addresses the problem of the supply of high quality olives. For outbound logistics, a couple of key problems they need to be addressing is the high distribution costs, lack of visibility. What a lot of companies who supply liquids do nowadays is that they bottle their liquids close to where it's consumed. Look at juicing, winemakers, olive producers tend to do that nowadays. Next option is appointing a logistics manager, making logistics more efficient, enabling customers to track delivery, then developing a strategic relationship with the distribution organization to handle all the distribution. A few issues in areas marketing and sales which we need to have candidates address in their solutions. One is they can't meet customer demand. Second one, there's no pricing differentiation. There doesn't seem to be any pricing strategy, and they're also losing market share. Undertaking a customer profitability analysis. This could be done for a couple of reasons. The first one is in order to identify profitable customers so that we can develop strategic relationships with them. Secondly, we could develop a pricing strategy that would grow the more profitable customers. Thirdly, we could consider marketing the olive oil via the website to go directly to end users and earn higher margins. So there'll be 10 marks in total. We're looking for suggested improvements. We're not looking for just descriptions of activities or problems that are occurring. And if a valid improvement is suggested, but under the wrong category, we would still award the mark. If candidates provide the same improvement in different parts of the answer, then we only allocate the mark to the first improvement. And we also need to have some relevance to the scenario. If they just say implement a CRM system, that's not sufficient. But if they had said implement a CRM system so that customers can track the order delivery, that certainly is relevant to the scenario, and we would award that. So let's have a look at a particular candidate's answers. If we look at sample I on page 34, they've listed quite a few activities, but there's no reference to adding value, improving efficiencies, creating competitive advantage. So we wouldn't award that mark. Inbound logistics, there is a good suggestion over there. It should seek additional suppliers from other parts of Australia or the world. If we go look at outbound logistics, improving the distribution channel can add extra value for the end customer. That's not a clear suggestion. Discussion of the difficulties or problems. So we can't see a suggestion there. But if we go down here, FBC should action to source a regular distributor to ensure the regularity of price and distribution timeframes. There we go. That is a good suggestion. And there's a discussion being made that sales are made via the website and customer feedback is due to insufficiencies in primary activities. So that's discussing what has been noted in the question. No clear solutions. Is insufficient market research has resulted in poor pricing of their products. We haven't been told that there's insufficient market research, but that's not a suggested solution anyway. And we're coming on to the marketing and sales activities should incorporate research on competitor pricing, customer feedback to obtain value chain activity. So there is a suggestion there about undertaking research on competitor pricing. That might help them develop a pricing strategy, so we'd accept that. Then just if you look here, they say suggesting sourcing a distribution partner to assist the outbound logistics. That's already been mentioned on the previous page. Here we go, FBC should action to source the regulars, so we can't award it again. If we go further down, they suggest add value to customers by introducing tracking, giving them access to tracking the progress of their orders. So we would award that particular mark. In part B, little a, we asked to analyze FBC's performance and to identify, in doing that, identify any interrelationships in the data contained in the report. And we want specific feedback on the February marketing campaign and the discounting policy. Candidates have been pointed specifically at what they need to focus on. February marketing campaign and discounting policy, look for interrelationships. So the first clear interrelationship indicated here in the solution is that the gross margin is improved as a result of the February marketing campaign. That's the first interrelationship. February marketing campaign and an improved gross margin. So if you look on the marking grid there, we're linking the marketing campaign to the gross margin improvement. If there's a further explanation to say that the improvement is due to more sales through the website as a result of the marketing campaign, and the website has a higher margin compared to sales to retailers, that's a second additional explanation, which we will give a second mark for. Discounts to get rid of old stock has resulted in the gross margin percentage decreasing in June. So that's another linkage, which we can see over there. June discounting to lower GM percentage in June. And then an additional point to make for them to identify is that because of that discounting sale of old stock in June, a significant improvement has resulted in the cash balance. So there's a second point. We got an extra mark because of linking that cash balance to that June discounting. And a third item in the solution, marketing costs have gone up, and we link that to that February marketing campaign. So there's a mark for that linkage between the higher marketing costs and the February marketing campaign. And for a second, there's that mark there, high marketing costs, we link it to the campaign. And then if they talk about marketing costs have resulted in a higher profit, so the cost benefit is mentioned, then there'd be an extra mark for that. We've given some examples here. A clear linkage between two bits of information, two variables, there's a mark there. And if we add something extra onto that, if we go deeper or build onto that linkage, we'll give a second mark. So if we look at this answer here, June discounts were offered. This resulted in increased sales in those particular products. That's a good linkage. There's one mark for that. And they're referring to increases in these 4 product lines over here. You can see that on the graph in the question. Then they go on to say the campaign towards the end of Feb to promote website sales has worked, given that following February, the share of sales made via the website has shifted up to 40%. And it's remained at that 40% for the rest of the year. So we can award that. And they're referring pretty much to what's been reflected in this graph here. We had a marketing campaign to improve website sales, February. From March, that graph is showing that as a percentage of our total sales, website sales have now gone up to about 40%. So that's good. That's one linkage. And then they've also said that these efforts, these marketing efforts, have translated to increase margins from 30% to 40%. So that's a second linkage that they've made around February marketing campaign. And if you look at this table over here, you can see that from March onwards, the gross margins have improved. And the only possible reason for that is due to a higher percentage of sales going through the website as a result of the February marketing campaign. And now we're jumping back to the original point made earlier on about the discounts at the top of this page, where the margins have reduced because of the discounting. So they're linking two things to the discounting. They've linked the June margins having gone down, and they've also linked sales for those declining product lines improving in June as a result of that. So there's a second mark related to the discounting. Now, a lot of what's been discussed here, product analysis, is a repeat of what's already been covered earlier on the top of the page, as well as the product mix has changed. That's been covered already in the answer. So 4 marks. Now, if we go back to the question and look at part B, little b, we're asked to assess whether the graphs produced in Appendix 2 would be more appropriate for the dashboard than the tables in Appendix 1. So candidates be expected to have a look at Appendix 1, which has got an income statement, gross margin by month, cash at the bank by month, and then the actual sales. Now, just to note, we had a gross margin of 30% for those 2 months. It's jumped up in March because of the February marketing campaign to improve website sales. It stayed up there, but it's gone down in June because of the discounting, which has resulted in higher sales. And also another point which stands out here is that your cash at bank has gone up. Whereas we look at the graphs, this page here, we've got a table showing sales by product by month. It's difficult to see any trends, any interrelationships there. And we've also got the split between website and retail sales over there. Those two tables are being represented as graphs. That sales by product per month, and we can see that there's declining sales in these 4 product lines, and they've suddenly shot up, and we can link that increase to the discounting. And we've got that graph there where we can again see quite clearly this trend where website sales as a percentage of total sales has gone up from March. So what are we expecting candidates to say in their answers for part B, little b? The first point is that graphs are generally more relevant to dashboard reporting as they highlight key information which needs to be. The next point is it's easier to follow trends over time on a graph. For example, the relative volume of sales sold via the website as opposed to retail sales. So there's a second point there. Enables us to look at trends. Then the next one is interrelationships. We can see how products are selling compared to each other, which is happening over there. Interrelationships. And the fourth possible solution is that it's easier to identify patterns on graphs. For example, June sales are suddenly going up. So 1 mark for each relevant reason why graphs may be more relevant. And remember, we're addressing that particular question here. Assess whether the graphs produced by Bernadette Murphy, who's in Appendix 2, would be more appropriate to the dashboards in Appendix 1. There was a solution which said that those graphs do not include key information such as the gross margin and cash at bank. That would be a valid comparison. Well, that's all on question 3. Thank you.